Today, I'm joined by Nathan Rhodes, a father, a tech expert, and someone who's navigated big career and life shifts. Nathan grew up on a farm in Cheshire before moving to London, swapping accountancy for technology and stepping back into the wild world of parenthood. We talk about the joys and challenges of raising kids, the impact of dyslexia, and why contentment matters just as much as ambition. From career transitions to school choices, from grief to growth, this conversation is packed with life lessons, personal reflections, and insights on embracing every moment. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's get into it. This is ChatterBeans. Welcome to ChatterBeans, where every cup holds a story. I'm your host, Isaac Kong, and in this brand new podcast series, I'll be sitting down with people from all walks of life. Join me as we dive into their stories, the lessons they've learned, the memories that have shaped them, and those bits of advice they wish they could share with others. And the surprising things you'd never guess just by looking. Every episode, we'll sit, chat, and discover the extraordinary hidden in everyday lives. So grab your favourite brew and settle in. It's time for some good coffee and even better conversation here on ChatterBeans. Nathan, welcome to ChatterBeans.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I am excited.
Yeah.
And I've seen a few of your snippets for a while now. So, really honoured to kind of be invited on.
No, you're welcome. I'm really pleased to have you. First of all, what's your go-to coffee order?
I'm a bit of a basic millennial.
Are you?
So it's a flat white.
Flat white.
99% of the time.
Yeah.
But,
regular milk?
Regular milk.
Perfect.
But last week I did order a coconut milk iced matcha. So, there's also...
Very different. I don't know if I can get on board with matcha.
Really?
Yeah.
I went to Japan earlier in the year.
Nice.
And it converted me.
Really?
I think it just tastes amazing, good health benefits. I get quite addictive to coffee because I love nice coffee, but matcha's a nice alternative. So that's on occasion, but flat white's 99% of the time.
Love that. Brilliant. Have you got any favourite coffee shops? Or do you go for like a local vibe?
So I do. I as you know, I moved from London to Cheshire, and there's a few nice independent coffee shops. Similar vibe to this, more like you're in someone's lounge.
Yeah,
it's a small coffee shop. It's about 6 foot, so I just about smack my head when I walk into the place. So it's a nice, cozy. It's called House. So it's just a nice, calm place, and I go and work there sometimes as well. So,
perfect.
That's the. I like the independent vibe.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it sounds amazing. Love that. So tell us about you. What does life look like for you right now? What do you do? Wherever you want to take us.
Open question.
I know.
Where do I start? So, I'm a dad of 2 boys. I've been married now for, 6 years, I think. Been with my wife now for 10 years. So life's very different now. So my boys, I've got 2 under 2. So it's absolute chaos.
I bet.
But I love it. I've always wanted to be a dad. So that's the most important thing in my life right now.
What a nice place to start.
Yeah, they just bring so much joy to me. It's hard, but it's so rewarding, which most parents say. But work-wise, again, as you know full well,
I do know
that I work for an amazing company. We focus on adoption of Microsoft products, and we focus on the people side of change. So we know that you can just deploy any technology, but that's not going to change anything. That's the enabler. Yeah. It's people who change, and we help people on that process to get the best out of their investment in IT.
Yeah, amazing. Do you enjoy it?
I do. Because I think I can see real benefit and value that we bring to people's lives. I know it's a big comment, but we can really help organisations and the impact it has on people. Yeah. I really enjoy it because I feel like it gives me like rewarding value feeling when I'm doing this work. Yeah. Yes.
Because technology is changing so quickly, right? Like
hugely.
People can't keep up.
No, and that's the hard part of it. Really, is you take the last 5 years. I mean, we were shoehorned into working in the cloud. We were moved into kind of Microsoft Teams and kind of this collaboration environment. Yeah. Now AI's picking up, and AI started off, and it was just the, helping people make better sentences and things like this. And now we're going into the kind of agents and operators world where we are completely revolutionizing the way that we do basic things. I mean, somebody taught me yesterday there was an agent where you can say, book me a holiday to Thailand in next month, and it'll go and book the flight for you, it'll book the accommodation, it'll book everything for you,
Wow, okay.
and you just got to pay for it. So that's huge change, and it can really distort how people feel about IT and interact with it.
I know. I saw yesterday on LinkedIn, there's a car company, I can't remember who, have just created their new car advert.
Mhm.
I think it was in 24 hours with one AI engineer. And they were saying basically that would usually take months, it would cost millions. It looked insane.
Yeah.
And I just
really
think
struggle to see the difference between what is what you'd call normal production
Yeah.
and AI.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you saw it. I saw this clip from this guy, I bet he was early 20s, and he redid one of the Star Wars clips just himself, just using AI, and apparently that production cost £1 million to make, and he did it in a week in his bedroom. And obviously doing a few films of himself outside, but it just shows the ability when you can really know what the tech can do.
Definitely.
And how to achieve it, yeah.
So you've worked in technology change, adoption, all of that stuff for quite a while, right?
Yeah, just over 5 years now. Actually, maybe like more 7 years, because I was a chartered accountant for my first career.
Interesting.
I still am.
Yeah.
Really proud to be. But I didn't have that feeling that I was adding real value to society. I moved to an internal change role, and I helped kind of deploy Microsoft 365 to my organisation for the first time, and it really sparked a bit of passion. So I was a year and a half into that, and then I met the MD of my company now, and I've been with them for 5 years. So yeah, about 7 years I've been doing kind of transformation.
Nice. Do you miss the accountancy stuff?
No,
No.
is the simple answer. I don't think it was ever for me.
Just something you fell into.
Well, so going deep here.
Yeah, go on.
My biggest inspiration in life was my granddad. I just admired him so much. He died the day after my 15th birthday, and I've just followed everything that he's done in his career and his life. I went to the same school as him, same golf club. He was an accountant. He had his own practice at the age of 26. So I just admired him and followed him in that capacity. And I know there's a lot of value being kind of a chartered accountant, because of, if you can understand the numbers, you can understand and help a business grow well. But I fell into auditing, and auditing, you have to be a super detail orientated person, and I'm more visionary and kind of enthusiastic about what the possibility is. So it probably just wasn't suited to me. So I don't miss that side of it, but I love that my role in kind of sales and transformation now, with my accountancy background, I can really help a business grow. So it's given me a lot, but I don't miss it.
Okay, good. So roll back a few years.
Yeah.
Like, where did you grow up? What did life look like childhood wise? Like, and how did, and what happened next, I suppose? Like uni, anything like that?
Yeah, so I grew up on a farm in Cheshire.
Did you?
Yeah. Not a traditional working farm, but it's been in the family now for just over 100 years. So it was a proper working farm with my great granddad, and then passed down. So we still have farm animals there and stuff, which is great to see, and livestock and everything, but it's not kind of, we don't manage it now.
Okay.
But I loved growing up in the countryside.
Yeah.
A lot of kind of happy times. I went to University of Birmingham, amazing campus uni. I had an amazing time. It really taught me so much more than I thought it did. I think I was a really nervous, apprehensive person before uni. And I came out of it feeling a lot more confident.
Did you?
It was a big thing for me. And obviously I got my qualification in accounting and finance, but that wasn't the best thing that came out of it. I think it was the softer skills in life. And
was it the first time you had left home?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Birmingham University campus is amazing. I studied there.
Yeah.
But I did it remotely during COVID, so it wasn't quite the same, but we got a few on campus days.
Yeah.
And I remember that feeling of like a student again. I mean, I was mid-20s, so it wasn't quite the same, but just walking around that campus is a proper university vibe, which you don't get, well, definitely not in London. But
no, it's not common in the UK. It gives me kind of
US
like American vibes.
Yeah, definitely.
You see on the films and stuff. It's the most,
and it's so old, isn't it?
Yeah, really old. There's tradition, but there's also like modern aspects to it. So it's a beautiful campus. Had a great time there, and I moved. Actually, a lot of my friends got grad jobs
Okay.
immediately from uni. I'm dyslexic, but predominantly I really struggle with kind of short-term memory loss and getting thoughts out of my head onto paper.
Really?
So you know those kind of exams you got to take for grad jobs where it's like numerical, all the tests like that.
Yeah.
Speed was against me, so I
Right.
never was
Okay.
able to pass those exams, which I was always kind of failing at the first hurdle.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's no jobs for me. I can't go do what everyone else is doing.
Mm.
And quite amazingly, the vice president of global tax for Sony used to go to Birmingham Uni, and she came and did a lecture there one day. And I found out that she was hiring only from the university for an apprentice scheme in her team. So I approached her, we had a chat, and I got a job with Sony straight out of uni in London. It was a
Amazing.
3-month contract. And then from there, and then I moved. Thankfully, I got a job with the National Audit Office doing my accountancy qualification. So I was down in London already, so that was quite handy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
that's
farm to Birmingham to London.
Yes.
And how long did you stay in London?
12 years.
Okay.
So I was there for a long time.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I had a great time. I really did, but I moved at the right time for me and my family.
When did you leave?
So we moved about 15 months ago.
Oh, wow, okay.
And my little boy was 6 months at the time. And I felt, knowing the environment that I grew up in, I'd want him to have the same.
Yeah.
I didn't think at the time London was the right place for him to grow up.
I agree.
So we moved out, and yeah, I haven't regretted it since.
No, nice.
Yeah.
I was just talking to friends last night about this, and I've said it a few times. I feel like London has changed.
Mhm.
Like, people have lost all etiquette. Like, things like on the tube, they just stand in front of the doors. Like, phones are being stolen constantly. Like, and it just feels quite noticeable, I think, in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
When I moved here 11 years ago, it just didn't feel like this exhausting.
No, it's a really good way of describing it. I mean, even things like people used to go to the theatre and wear blazers and wear really smart outfits, and people made an effort.
Yeah.
And I remember we went not long ago, and because we had a bit of a break from not going because of COVID, and then we started going again. And I know it's a small thing, but people don't make an effort anymore with themselves, with other people, how you interact with people. Like you said, manners have gone.
Talk
because
through the show.
Yes.
Obviously, people know my husband's in Starlight Express, and I went on Christmas Eve, and it was the most frustrating show that I've been to, because rows and rows of people just talking. Like, I'm like, what are you doing? But talking, saying it's their favourite show, and I'm like, then be quiet. Like, and maybe that's just the way things are changing, but I do feel like it's here rather than other places.
I couldn't agree more. I think the sparkle of London, that's where the jobs are, that's where the life is, that's where you've got to develop your career. Maybe it was a dozen years ago, but I don't know if it's the same anymore.
Yeah.
You can have an incredible life outside of London, but I think that was the kind of, stereotypical view that we were all given in that early 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about coming back now, like when you pop back into London?
I do have that kind of tourist feeling now where I go back and it's exciting to visit, because I can go, maybe I'll come back once a month, go to my favourite breakfast joint, make sure we see some friends like we've caught up today. And it's nice. You get the hustle and bustle back again, but it's not where I want to live.
No.
So it's nice that I know I'm going to get on the train and go home.
I think I want that feeling of being able to come back to London and feel excited.
Yeah.
I came back from a trip in December and did not enjoy it.
Really?
It was the first time I'd really noticed that I was not excited to be here. So did you meet your wife in London?
I did, and it was a bit of a cliche meeting. We met at the office Christmas party.
In the audit office?
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, do you want to say any more?
Sure. We met there, and honestly, I know it sounds a bit ridiculous, but it was one of them, like, you kind of knew from the moment we locked eyes.
Yeah.
There was like a connection straight away. And she was on a kind of on and off date with somebody else.
Okay.
And I remember reaching out to her and saying, like, I'm not going to let this like happen. Like, it was just like, I'm not going to just let you carry on with this guy. Like, our connection was so great. I wanted it. And we went on a few amazing dates, and we got together really quickly after that. And crikey, we moved in after 9 months, and engaged
you?
another 9 months after that. So
Amazing.
yeah, when you know, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And then yeah, a few years later, babies.
Yes.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
has life changed since having children?
It's hard to summarize because I don't think you ever know the total feeling of what being a parent's going to be like, the responsibility, the lack of time for yourself. It's hard. So basic things in life, going to the toilet on your own is not a thing anymore. Having a meal that's warm
Yeah.
together is a rarity. Um, I wouldn't change it because I see family friends with lots of kids, and it's just the most amazing image and feeling.
Yeah.
And I do love it now. But it's hard to come to terms in the fact of things that you can't do when you want to do it. So I play golf. That's my main sport.
Okay.
Can I go and play 4 hours at the round, have a quick warm up, and driving here and there? So I'm gone for 8 hours. Absolutely not.
No.
So that's the kind of sad part is for a period of your life, you need to be dad. But I don't regret it.
No.
But it's just hard. So it's one of those, rewarding, hard, incredible, all feelings in one.
Yeah, I imagine that sense of like, oh, I've got children, I'm bringing up, this new life into the world, but yet you have to sacrifice all of your own things. It can't be easy.
It's not, and I think me and my wife, we're still working through, being better communicators together.
Totally.
When it's getting too much, just having that 5 minutes to go for a walk outside. As you know, I work in a little garden cabin, so I've got 3 meters between my boys every day and work. So when I finish work, I'm straight into being dad, and that's not healthy. I think what I'm trying to figure out is just go for that 10-minute walk around the estate. Just go for a drink, get some fresh air, and then I'll come back in and be a lot more ready.
Yeah.
So we're always learning.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't matter what situation, you're always learning. No one's mastered everything or anything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Any more?
I wish I was more healthy. I mean, I see what you get up to and how fit you are and everything you do with.
Yeah, but I don't have 2 children under 2.
I know. Well, it's something which I really miss doing. I've built a gym in the garage, which I love, but I don't get to use it much. And well, that's on me. That's me just not being good with my time. So it'll come.
Yeah, I think you've got to be fair to yourself, right? Like, just go easy on yourself.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it can't be easy, and I think communication comes through all the time. Like, yeah, just talk things through. Surely that is going to help a little bit, right? So yeah, going back to university, school, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Being dyslexic,
Mm-hmm.
how did that affect you in any way? Because I imagine back then it wasn't. I mean, we're similar age, I think, are we?
So I'm 33.
Yeah, same as me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being at school and like there was a few like special needs assistants,
Yeah.
but I don't think it was that well supported.
No, and even harder to identify.
Yes.
I think that was the thing. So it was really interesting. I was identified at 17, so quite late on. And it was, let's just say, hidden because I was quite smart. I did
Really?
I did all right in my exams. I had a great school, a great teacher. So B's and above is fine.
Nice. Very good. Yeah.
It's not amazing, but it's not something of concern.
Exactly. Yeah.
But my history teacher took me aside once, and she said my writing style was exactly like her daughter's, and she's been diagnosed with dyslexia. And she was like, "I'd love you to just get tested because it's a very unique way of writing." And I came to learn that a dyslexic can commonly flip the structure of a sentence. So what you're trying to say at the end, you kind of start with, and then it doesn't flow very well. And the more I look back at my paragraphs, it's not an easy read. And then it got identified then. So in a way, like, it didn't hold me back. But once it was identified and I got a bit more support and I could use certain assistive tools to help me, it really did allow me to, take exams and do things a lot easier. So yeah, it's been a challenge having that, but
Yeah.
it's not held me back more as much as possibly it could have. Yeah.
How did you feel when the teacher spoke to you about it?
I was a bit worried, to be honest, because like you said, it wasn't like, assistive support. It was like special needs. Like that was the
Yeah,
caption back then.
it
And I
was.
was like, my God, do I have to tick that special needs box on
Yeah.
like university applications now? And I was like labeling myself as something which it's not.
Exactly.
And then, the more I'm reading, there's, I sort of can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Richard Branson or Theo Paphitis. I think he said like dyslexia is my superpower because he has it, or both of them have
Yeah.
it, and quite a few successful businessmen have it. You tend to be a lot more creative,
Yes.
and that's where my passion and my enthusiasm actually goes to.
Yeah.
So actually, I now see it as like a kind of a great thing
Do
that I've
you?
got it because it
Nice.
helps me in certain ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during university, you kind of just embraced it and
I did a bit.
yeah.
I mean, I got a free laptop. I could do my exams on a
Nice.
laptop.
I remember that, yeah. When
Yeah.
people got like, oh, your special needs, like we'll give you
Yeah.
a laptop, and everyone was so jealous. I remember those were the days in school.
That was
like,
the best
why have you got a
part
laptop?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the best part about it. So
Extra time in exams.
oh,
like, all
exactly. It was brilliant. Yeah.
That's amazing. How else do you like channel it now? Do you have time to like? I mean, I know we've just spoken about lack of time.
Yeah.
But when you do have the time, and I guess pre-children a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
what were kind of your passions and things that you did outside of work?
Outside
Golf.
of work, so golf.
Yeah.
That was the main thing. I love golf.
Yeah.
So much.
Do you?
'Cause
What is it about golf? I've never played it.
Haven't you?
Well, crazy golf, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Well, same theme.
You've never been on a golf course?
No. So much. So at the golf club, it creates a great community, and I learn a lot from people at the club. We spoke a lot about work, a lot about careers. So I met a lot of people there who helped me. But what I love about the sport is it is a game of intricacies. So
Really?
you are 2 millimeters from being 50 yards off target, which could be in the rough, it could be in a lake, out of bounds. So I love that it's a game of if you can practice well, you really put the time in. It's all about the mental side of game more than the physical. You can play incredible golf, and when you hit those shots that you see on TV, there's a great feeling there. And
I bet.
and playing with some friends, being outside for that length of time, just ability to clear your head, just so much about the sport. And I mentioned about my granddad. That was the sport that he got me into, so he taught me to play.
Really? So you've been playing since a really young age?
About 12 when I started, 12,
Wow.
13. Just on the range for years and years.
Really?
And then I think I went onto the course when I was around 15 and never looked back. But it also brings about travel as well. I know you love traveling, I do. And, I've played some amazing courses, but it kind of just means you get to do more things when you go abroad. So, I've been to Barbados and played at a few courses there, and Dubai and played there, and it just means you get to see different things and experience different things, and it's just brilliant. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
I can see the smile on the face.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can smile through anything that you talk through, there's always going to be passion. And,
yeah.
It's also sad that I don't get to do it as much now, but I just think loads of people say this. It's just a period of your time, and I'll pick it up later on. But yeah, it's a wonderful thing. So
how long? I mean, how long's a piece of string? But
Yeah.
how long do you think you're in this stage of life, I suppose, with your 2 under 2? Like, how long until you get some, not freedom, because that sounds awful, but you know what I mean?
Do you know what? I don't know. But I guess what I've seen with a few friends, they've got some kids who are around 3 and 4, and they get to do a lot of their things with them. So one of my friends, my best friend lives over in San Francisco. I miss him a lot, but we catch up quite a bit, especially when he comes back at Christmas.
Yeah.
But he told me last week he took his daughter to the kind of putting green, and she kind of really enjoyed it. But she sat in the buggy, read a book. He did 9 holes, and then she'd come out and put on the green.
There you
So
go.
he'd do the full shots that he wanted to do. And I thought,
Perfect.
what an amazing experience! And what I've created, I've done a bit of a 40 things to do before 40.
Have you?
My brother-in-law did a 30 by 30, and it got me thinking. I was like, well, I'm going to do 40 by 40. I want me to do a podcast, so
There we are.
I can tick that one after today. But playing with my boys
Really?
is playing golf with my boys is one of the one there. So yeah,
You've got a few years to make it
I've got a
happen.
few years to make it happen, and when my youngest is 3 or 4,
Yeah,
we'll get it done, and I'll do that before 40.
I love that.
Yeah.
What are some of the other things that you've got?
So a lot of it's travel.
Is it?
A lot of places we've been to some amazing places,
Mm.
but there's still some places I really want to see. Iceland. I've always wanted to go, never had the chance.
We're going next week.
Are you actually?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Is it the time for the aurora?
Should be.
Yeah.
But we went to Norway this time last year and we didn't get to see it 3 nights. So
Really?
fingers crossed.
Oh,
But yeah.
that'll be amazing. Yeah, a lot of things like that. I'm trying to think what else is on my list now. But a lot of things is just small things doing experiences with my boys. I think what I've
Yeah.
learned is time's not about the length of something; it's about the quality that you spend when you've got those opportunities. And like I said, just playing golf with my boys. It's not a huge time bound activity that I've got to work up towards, but it's something which I'm looking forward to. And I think what I'm trying to find now is quality of time is the most important thing. So
Yeah.
I'm struggling to think of what else is on my list, but it's
all
things
good.
like that. It's not massive
Yeah.
things. Obviously going to Iceland is big, but yeah, there's not expensive things on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and yeah, I love that. I don't think they need to be the most extravagant.
No.
The classic jumping out of a plane.
Yeah.
Even though we
That
were
is on
supposed to
there.
jump out of a plane and it is on, it will be on everyone's list, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But there are other things, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, I think it's just being content.
Yeah.
And finding true contentment. Is that the word?
I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I think
It takes a long time to get there, I think.
do you know what? And it's something I think in the last, say, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I'm so content and so happy in my life.
Yeah.
I don't have jealousy.
You don't?
No. And it's something which I'm just so happy I've realised this.
Yeah.
I think growing up I was probably a jealous kid.
Were you?
Probably.
Why?
So I went to a private school, and there's a lot of wealthy people there, and amazing cars and things like this, and we weren't poor. I know this sounds ridiculous, but it was one of those things where as a kid you see it and you go, oh, I want that, I want that, and I've just come to go, I'm not materialistic. I don't care about the flash thing. You've made fun of my phone. It's I think the iPhone of like many years ago.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Most people do. But I have no intention of getting the new one. I don't need to. I'm thinking, what could I spend my money on that's going to bring me a lot more happiness? And I take my eldest to like soft play every Saturday, and we go and jump around on the slides in the bouncy castle, and it's like £3 to go in.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And I think I've got everything I've ever wanted. I've got an amazing wife, 2 healthy boys.
Yeah.
What more do I really
Got
want?
your health.
I got my health. My gosh, the most important thing.
That's quite interesting. I didn't know that you went. Obviously, I know you, but we don't know each other that
course.
well, and I think that's why this episode's quite nice. Private school must have been quite interesting then. Like, I don't know what that is like. I went to a state school, so how are those days? Like, yeah, like you say, being with people that probably have a lot of money.
It's an interesting one because back then in the catchment area, there was only 2 schools that I could go to, and one it's not there anymore.
Oh, right.
It was that bad.
Really?
Yeah, it was a terrible school, and I don't think I was strong-minded enough. If I'm honest, I was quite an insecure, weak kid.
Really?
And I think this one gave me an environment where I could thrive. And do you know what? It was incredible. I look back and it was the most amazing experience at school. I really loved it. It brought me a bit more out of my shell. I'd met some incredible friends that I'm still really close with today.
Was it an all-boys school?
It was until sixth form, which...
How was that? Because I've always, we have this talk about children and whether we'd send our children to private school because Oscar went to a private school. It's quite common in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't. So we had this debate of like whether it's a good thing or bad thing. And I'm certainly like, I definitely don't want them to go to, like an all boys or all girls school.
Yeah. So we kind of like step back from picking one or the other. And I had a really interesting conversation with a few of my friends about this recently, that if you're a present parent and you support them and you help them along that journey of like helping them with the homework, making sure you're teaching the kind of softer skills in life, things that aren't taught at school, which I'm really passionate about.
For sure.
That is actually more impactful than the school that you send them to, is what I believe in. So I
Okay.
think you can go to any school, but if you're not there, you go to after school clubs and, breakfast club in the morning, and you're not there to help coach them and teach them on the outside of school, I don't think it matters. One of my
Really?
really close friends, he said that, he went to the private school and his parents, in his words, they didn't give a shit what he did outside of school. They
Really?
didn't look at his homework, checking it. He didn't do homework for 2 years. They didn't ask him. He didn't care. He didn't care about traditional education. And he runs a successful business now himself because he's got that entrepreneurial flair.
Yeah.
But that's not taught at school. So I think that's the thing for me is, as long as my wife and I are present and we are able to help our boys outside of the core education system, I think that's going to have more impact on their life than the school we pick. But going back to what you said, I would prefer not to go to an all boys school because
Yeah.
I don't think that's great either.
Yeah, because it makes me wonder, like, when you then start interacting with girls,
Yeah.
like how it, especially at 16, 17, and you've had no exposure to that almost,
Yeah.
probably because you've just been with
Yeah.
boys, like, how is that?
It's not great. That
Quite
was
strange.
terrible.
Yeah.
It's just embarrassing how I used to act, I think. I don't think it's healthy actually.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, that would be my view. That
Yeah.
I think we need to interact with all types of people from
Absolutely.
all backgrounds and cultures from a very young age.
Yeah.
And I think it's easier nowadays than it used to be. But yeah, if you then still have that all boys or girls school, I think it's quite tough, right?
Can create a very narrow-minded
Exactly.
view actually, and I think growing up in the north, it was very middle class, very white. I went to Birmingham, which was, as you know, it's an amazing city.
Yeah.
It has backgrounds from everywhere,
It's so diverse.
and I loved it. And some of my best friends from university, we've got kind of Pakistani backgrounds, Indian, and it taught me a lot. And I just kind of
sure.
like to, I love to learn, and I love to learn around their culture, their religion. It introduced me to foods that I would have never tasted, and I love food now from everywhere. And I just think it's so important to experience, let's use the word diversity, and kind of different circumstances in life to understand everyone's perspective in life.
Yeah.
I think it's just crucial.
Yeah, for sure. Coming back to your family.
Yeah.
2 boys, wife. You've talked about some of the struggles. What would you say the biggest struggle is right now? As a new dad? Because it is quite new, having 2 under 2.
It is. I would say...
I suppose you've been in a constant cycle for the last few years of just being
a
new dad.
Yeah, I think remembering you're a couple is probably the hardest thing, because you are so separated during the majority of your time together. Like one's man marking the eldest, one's looking after the youngest, and we go to bed absolutely shattered.
I bet.
So I think the hardest part is not having as much quality time with Emily as I would have wanted.
Yeah.
But we're trying to be better at communicating this, and I know we'll get there, and we both understand it's a period of time.
Yes.
So I think we're accepting that, we might be snappy with each other, we might be short, we might not be able to give each other a hug as much as we wanted to, but we know it's going to come. But I think that's the hardest part right now is sometimes you just feel like dad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I look forward to being dad.
Do you know what? It's amazing. And this is what I know every parent says it, but
this is why I asked you that question, because on the outside, everyone looks so happy. On social media, they post pictures of their children sometimes, or you ask couples and they don't always give you the honest answer.
No, and I really wish I knew a lot more going into this part of my life.
Really?
We've got an incredible antenatal group. So most couples, before you give birth, you go to a group to learn around what the birth's like, how you can support each other afterwards, and,
Yeah.
and how to raise kids and everything like this. So it's a great learning experience. But the best thing that comes out of it is you create the tightest bond with a bunch of strangers
Yeah.
that we now have. I'd call some of our best friends.
Would you?
They still come and visit us at weekends and stuff from London. But learning from each other is, my gosh, it's been so important, because you go through these phases of pure worry of, are they developing right? Are they ill? They I can't understand what they want, and you constantly going through this kind of fear. Am I doing it right? Are they well? And you second guessing yourself all the time.
Yeah.
And that wasn't really communicated, that how hard it can be. It's just the exterior of, wow, really happy, really fun. And it is, but it's the things behind the scenes where I wish I knew a little bit more. And I think people being a bit more open now is really good. Yeah.
I'm just picturing that moment of like, you've just given birth, maybe in the hospital one night, and then you take the baby home. That must be the scariest moment.
It is, because
Like that first time in your house with just your baby.
Do you know
and no
what?
medical stuff.
Yeah, do you know what it is? And I look back, and we were in hospital for 6 days after our firstborn, because we had some kind of complications with the birth. Everything turned out to be okay.
Yeah.
So it was great to have that medical support there for a prolonged period.
Yes.
So we went home feeling a lot more content.
Really?
With our second, we went home the morning after, and we were kind of chomping at the bit to get home.
Really?
We're like, well, we've done this.
We've done it. It's easy.
We've done it. But so it was a little bit easier. But you do come home and you have that realization of, this thing in front of me is 100% reliant on me to survive. So you have this incredible bit of care. But I'll go a bit deep again if that's all right. I mean, so going back to that kind of like openness of what I wish people talked about. So my wife and I, we lost our first baby. We miscarried the day before our 12-week scan. The hardest thing I've ever seen.
Really?
My wife going through. I would have done anything to take the pain away from her. It was the hardest thing. It was during lockdown, so having to say bye to her at the hospital to go in to get an assessment on her own, because I wasn't allowed with her, was one of the hardest things I've ever go through. And I've always wanted to be a dad. So it's given me this whole new level of appreciation that nothing in life's guaranteed.
No.
So when I got to take my firstborn home, I just felt honoured.
I bet.
That I had that opportunity in life.
Yeah.
When at one point I thought this might never happen.
That moment of losing the first one, how did that impact you? Like, because I guess a lot of people look to the mum and the woman, right? Because it's their body and they've lost the baby. But I don't think we talk about the dad.
No. Gosh.
You must have felt quite lonely, like especially COVID.
Yeah.
Everyone was in some way quite lonely, I think, because the world was quiet.
Yeah, it was painfully hard.
Was it?
Because
12 weeks is not a short amount of time. That's 3 months.
No, we were planning for what do we buy. We could see that vision and stuff.
Was she showing at that point?
No, what transpired is the baby hadn't been developing for weeks.
Right.
So we probably convinced ourselves that she was showing. But then, she bled on the day before, and we called the hospital, went in and found out that the baby wasn't developing as planned. But it was so lonely and so hard at that time, because my care and focus was purely on making sure that Emily got through this.
Yeah.
And felt supported, and we got her healthy again. And we took that year to go, we still want to have kids.
Yeah.
Will it happen? We don't know, but let's go and do some stuff for us. So we went on, a few great holidays together. We tried to have really good quality time together. So it brought us really close together.
Okay.
Which was really nice. But it's something I've learned that, one, miscarriage is not talked about.
No.
And what happens, and especially for men, they don't talk about it. And let's say support isn't there. So I went into a bit of a dark place, but my work were incredible.
Really?
A lot of people talk to me about their experiences with child loss, difficulties with conceiving, and parenthood. And from then on, I felt at the time I felt I was the only one in the world going through this
Yeah.
pain. But
Yeah.
actually, more people than I realised have gone through this and gone through it multiple times. And it's not nice to go, well, I'm not the only one, but it's nice to know that people have got through it. And do you know
Yeah.
what? It happens,
Yeah.
and you know, it's been a blessing in disguise, because it's made me feel really honoured to have two boys,
Yeah, for sure.
and to have open conversations with people about things that really do matter in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Ah, well, I'm glad it's worked out in
Yeah,
the sense that you've
thank
got
you.
a healthy family now, and
Yeah.
you know, and you'll never forget that moment, I'm sure. So that's your family.
Yep.
You talked a bit about your career. What are your future goals? Like, where do you want to, what do you want to do next? Like, boys grow up, get older.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself?
Do you know what? It's a really tough question. Me and my wife are talking about this now. What does she want to do next? What do I want to do next? What do we want to do as a family? And I think go back to like what it is that we want to achieve. And my mother-in-law was a stay-at-home mum. She raised kids. My wife and her brother. And Emily's looked back and realised that it was such a blessing to have that, because during kind of non-term time, Easter, Christmas, summer, they were present for them. They did things. They did amazing things. Day trips out. It meant they had. They didn't have to go into summer camps and things like this, which I did, and I love them.
Yeah.
But I think what it's meant is what's the lifestyle that we want, where we can give as much time to our kids as possible. That's what we're striving for. And
Okay.
at the moment I work for a great company. It's remote first. We're very flexible. Work from wherever. We're very output driven. So my boss is not about presenteeism at all, which
That's
is
great.
incredible.
Yeah.
So he trusts me to get on with my job. So at the moment, I'm really happy with what I'm doing, because I get to have a great work-life balance.
Yeah.
And it's probably more around what my wife's going to do next, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think whatever it is, it's going to make
love that.
sure that it gives my kids the best opportunity in life, and that if that's quality time with us, if it's experiences,
Yeah.
we've talked about, in the summer, why don't we each summer just go abroad for a month?
Wow.
I can work out there.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
can be with the kids. They can see some great things.
Yeah.
So let's look into it. So,
Yeah, for sure. And
yeah.
give them those experiences at such a young age, I think is, so valuable.
Yeah, it really is.
That sounds amazing. Biggest life lesson or advice that, what have you learned? Yeah, things that you want to share.
So somebody taught me something which I stick kind of dear to my heart. So when I was an auditor, I think the standard way of measuring success in your annual appraisals was not designed for me. My skills were not highlighted in that experience. It was all around what it is to be an auditor. Yeah. And it made me feel quite worthless. Made me feel very undervalued, underappreciated, made me second guess if I'm good at anything. Really? It made me feel quite bad. And the head of L&D at the time, close friend of mine, said to me, never underestimate what comes easy to you, because it doesn't come easy to everyone. And some of those skills are really important in life. Okay. And it got me thinking, because he was like, what are those things to me? Yeah. I can really bring people on a journey. I can sell a vision well. I really care about people and the impact that things have on them. So like IT and digital, instead of thinking about the tech, what's the role that it impacts on people? I can bring people together in a room, and these softer skills actually are quite impactful and important. And that's just like a couple of things that he listed, but it's one of them where I was like, never underestimate what comes easy to you, because it could be a really powerful asset in the future.
If you could have coffee with anyone, dead, alive,
yeah,
who would it be? Why? Where would you take them?
Can I pick more than one?
Yes.
I've got three.
Oh, wow. Prepared.
I've got a controversial one.
Go on.
So Elon Musk.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So I've followed his kind of career very early on. There's an amazing book about him by Ashley Vance around his kind of where he came from, the kind of PayPal era, through to starting SpaceX and the failures they nearly had. And the lessons and life skills that he brought about there was, they were one rocket launch away from going bankrupt.
Yeah.
And look where the company is now and what he's done with Tesla and everything else. Taking away the kind of political side of things,
For sure.
I just think his visionary approach in life for kind of multi-planetary kind of coexistence and the sustainability piece around kind of solar solar power and things like this. I think it would just be the most fascinating conversation to think or hear how he thinks.
I agree.
So that's my controversial one.
Okay, I like that.
Mainly because of like the current kind of political situation that he's in.
Definitely.
But I think he's amazing and something I'd love to kind of continue following his career.
Yeah.
The nicer two.
Okay, go on.
So I mentioned golf.
Yeah.
So Arnold Palmer, he's called the king of golf. He passed away a few years back, but he was the ultimate sportsman.
Really?
And one thing which he always said was he hated when professionals used to give autographs and you'd see them just do a 10 in 10 seconds and they'd scribble. They'd say Arnie would spend 10 seconds doing his signature because he knew when those kids would take that home, they'd want to read Arnold Palmer.
Yeah.
And he showed care and attention and love to everyone.
I love that.
And he won everything in golf. He was one of the most successful, greatest of all time.
Yeah.
But what he brought to the game and outside of the game and how he grew it and his love of charity and children especially, he was my kind of idol who I grew up to follow because, and that would be my third person, he was my granddad's favourite golfer.
Oh.
And I would love to have a coffee with my granddad now and hear how he sees that I've lived my life.
Yeah.
Because I grew up wanting to be him and idolising him. And sadly, I don't think he got to see what he put the foundations and work in came to be. So, that would be something one day I would look forward to doing that again.
I love those answers.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all quite different.
Yeah. I couldn't pick one. That's
special. That's special. Thank you. Is there something that people often misunderstand about you or get wrong on first impression? Maybe not.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I can probably give people, I don't know, it's a tough question because I want to say like things around positive things, but I can be really sharp and blunt sometimes.
Can you?
quite abruptly when I'm stressed.
Yeah.
And I don't like to portray that.
No.
And I don't think deep down in my core that's me, but it comes out when I'm stressed. But I think, I don't know, I think maybe a misconception is just how much I do care about the impact that things and what people say have on one another means to me.
Okay.
So because I'm sometimes a bit too sharp and abrupt, I then go home and go, I really wish I didn't do that.
And you overthink it.
And I overthink it, and it really gets me down that I've reacted like that. Yeah. Something I'm working on.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think people probably think I don't care enough, but it's probably the opposite.
Yeah.
But my actions sometimes don't go hand in hand. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Thanks for the honesty.
I'm not sure it's a good thing, to be honest, because people will probably go, yeah, he is too sharp.
We're all guilty of reacting in moments or something bothers us and it comes out in a bad way, right? I think it's what you do with that afterwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, you go home, you process it, and yeah.
I do tend to kind of own up. I'll apologise and work on those.
Which is not easy.
No, it's not, and that's something it's been hard to kind of do and put your hands up and go, do you know what? That was wrong.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. It's time for the quick fire round.
Quick fire round.
Yes.
Okay.
What's the first thing you do in the morning?
I'm woken up by my boy, so go and get him and take him downstairs for some milk.
Before you have a chance to do anything else?
Literally anything else.
Really?
That is it.
Yeah.
Every day.
Wow. Okay. What's your most favourite place that you visited and why? You said that you've travelled a lot.
I have. We went to Kyoto in Japan.
Yes.
My gosh, the culture, the people, the food.
Isn't it stunning?
The feeling of being there.
Yeah.
That brought out a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
Stunning.
It feels like how you imagine Japan to be, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I could go back there
Yeah.
any day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. When did you go?
I went in March.
Oh, right.
So, yeah, I took a 1-year-old for his birthday on a 16-hour flight.
How was that?
Horrendous.
Was he crying?
He was crying a lot, but he had a bit of a fever as well, so he wasn't massively well.
Bless him.
So my wife did 11,000 steps on the plane, walking him back up and forth. I did about 5,000, so she took the brunt of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an experience I would not want to go through again.
Oh, bless you. What is your... I mean, you probably don't get a day off, but what's the favourite way to spend a day off?
Do you know what? Go and get a coffee,
Yeah.
a nice coffee shop,
Yeah.
go for a nice breakfast
Yeah.
with my wife, turn our phones off, and just be present together.
I love that. Yeah. Turning the phones off, so important. Just spend a bit of quality time.
Yeah, and an easy action, but my gosh, it's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could time travel, would you go forwards or backwards?
At the moment, I would go backwards. To have another day with my granddad would mean the world to me.
Really?
Yeah, I miss him a lot.
Do you?
And it's been, I mean, come in April, it's going to be 19 years, and it feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So, I talk about him a lot, as you've
Yeah.
heard, but it means so much to me. So
special.
I would say that's what comes to mind. And if it's quick fire, and that's,
Exactly.
that's what I thought of, it's
Perfect.
probably that.
Yeah. Good. What's the weirdest thing you've Googled recently?
The weirdest thing I've Googled.
Something quite out there, maybe,
Oh my god.
that isn't work related or AI related.
You've really stumped me with this one, because I'm sure I have. Everyone goes off tangent when you
Yeah.
Google something and you go, "Ooh, what's that?" Oh my gosh.
Anything?
I can't honestly think of something that is so weird, but do you know what? Something will be there.
Yeah.
I just can't think of anything right
Okay,
now.
we'll leave that one.
I might, if I can think of it, I'll come back to it. but
No
I'll
worries.
park the answer for now. Yeah.
Final question. If your life was a movie, what would the title be?
Embrace. One word answer. Embrace every moment you get, cherish every moment you get, and be present with the environment that you put in and the experiences you're facing. And I think that's how I want to try and always remember when things are stressful, to just embrace every single moment that I get.
What a great ending. Thank you so much for being on ChatterBeans.
I've really loved
I've
it.
really loved our conversation, mainly because you're the first person that I know, but I don't know that well.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about a lot of different things today. So thank you for your honesty. Where can people connect with you and find out about your life and what you do next and your boys or whatever you want?
Sadly, LinkedIn is now my
LinkedIn?
socials.
Yeah, that's all good.
I've come off Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm very passive on Instagram.
No,
I
perfect.
don't post much anymore. But LinkedIn is my
Yeah.
place now.
Cool.
So I post things a little bit about life, a little bit about work,
Nice.
and a lot about kind of digital transformation and how it impacts people in their
Perfect.
lives. So that's kind of the best place to learn and
Yes.
connect with me.
Cool. We'll connect you in the description. So yeah.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much for being
No.
on ChatterBeans.
Thank you
We'll
so
see
much,
you
Isaac. I
soon.
really appreciate it.
Thank you. Take
Cheers.
Thank you so much for tuning in to ChatterBeans. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. If you liked this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. And for more behind the scenes moments, guest updates, and a peek into the world of ChatterBeans, follow us on Instagram at chatter.beans. Until next time, grab a coffee, sit back, and let's keep chatting.